Hello, everyone. You are listening to your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and my name is Kiana Rivera. I'm the Vice President of Membership here at the Chamber, and we are joined today by Charles Hwang. Thank you so much for being here. And a little bit about Charles real quick. Charles is the Chief Investment Officer and founder of Lightning Capital Partners. Before founding the digital asset management company, Mr. Hwang was a valuation consultant and a forensic accountant at Ernst & Young LLP. Before that, he worked as a senior equity trader. He was also an adjunct teaching a course on blockchain and crypto assets for almost 7 years. Mr. Hwang received his master's of accountancy degree from Baruch
College. Yeah.
Baruch College and his BS in economics from the University of Rochester. He is a chartered financial analyst chart holder, CFA, and a certified public accountant, his CPA. So Charles, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, we are so excited. You are not only a trustee, but you're a member of the chamber, and just you've really been involved in the chamber the last, 2 years. I think it's been probably longer. It just seems, 2 years is just a number that popped in. So Charles, tell me a little bit. I know we shared in your bio that you are the founder of Lightning Capital Partners. So tell me a little bit about Lightning and where you got the inspiration to start this business.
Yeah, so Lightning Capital is a digital asset management company. We're focused on the digital asset space, such as in crypto, blockchain.
Wow.
And so we have several funds that are focused in investing in this asset class. And it's just a very confusing asset class.
Right.
And so part of our motive is to educate folks on it and then help people to invest. I would say that what we're trying to do, the education piece is the biggest crucial piece because most people don't understand crypto.
Right. Or they hear just what they hear on like shorts or something or social media. It's just very like, oh, what's happening now? And what is the trending type feel for that? So kind of break it down for me a little bit of how it's much more focused on a business instead of just whatever's trending.
Yeah. So what we're trying to understand are fundamentals around crypto.
Okay.
And most people don't. It takes a while, like I said, to understand it. I have invested probably 15,000 hours studying crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these other digital assets.
Wow.
And for me, I think the biggest hurdle is that time commitment that people need to spend to understand this asset class and to learn.
Right.
And everyone that I know that has gone the path of learning, there's a certain point, I don't know when that aha moment is, they start to realize, now I understand why people are invested in this.
Oh, got it. So they have that light bulb that goes off and they're like, okay, now I understand all these people aren't crazy for investing. It's really meticulous, like you said.
That's right. And I've been in this space since 2013. And in 2013, what my story is, I was always looking for a new investment to invest my money in. And so I spent the time to understand the technology before I invested in everything. I've been investing in tech my entire life. And this was one of those situations where when I looked at it and I had that aha moment, and it took me some time to get there, I realized this is a very transformative technology.
Wow.
And I started to tell the world about it. There was a point where I said, because in 2013, people still think you're crazy when you start to talk about crypto.
Right.
And I think it was around 2015 and 16, I started telling a lot of my close friends about this technology. And notice I focus more on the word technology because that's what it is. I want people to grasp that. It's a unique technology that's going to help a lot of people. It's not just an investment, although that's how most people look at it.
Right.
It is this technology that's transformative. And once there's that hurdle for that, people continue to invest in time in learning about it and in investing in it. So I think that's where people tend to, it takes time for them to get to that point.
Wow. And then I want to take it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through after you graduated college and you kind of were in that accounting world, always that financial space. What really kind of made you focus on tech, or was it also together when you were in college?
Yeah. So to take it even step back, I'm a product of an inner city high school.
Wow.
And so I didn't come from a single mother that raised me, and we didn't have much money. Okay. And what I did what I was always fascinated was the investment markets because I've seen how people made money, like a Warren Buffett who studied the markets and learned how to invest and make money. And there's a quote in Warren Buffett where he says that if I had $1 million today, and that's all I had, I could generate at least a 50% return.
Wow.
And it got me thinking, okay, how can I make my money grow? And so I delved into this investment world and learned about value investing, learned about how to research companies. And a lot of our minds are very limiting. When we put our minds in a box, we limit ourselves.
Right.
And so when I read that quote from Warren Buffett, I thought, what if I can make it even greater? But Warren Buffett, what most people will point out, will say that you can't value a tech company. It's impossible.
Okay.
So if I put that limiting belief in my head, then I would think the same way. But I didn't. And I said, you know what? I bet you there's a way to value tech, to value .coms. And I lived through the .com crash. And that was a great experience where I started to really delve into what makes it valuable.
Okay.
And that's when I started to invest in that space. And I've learned that over the years, if you can educate yourself on this space, and granted, it's not easy, but it takes time. It's a lot of hard work. Your money can work really hard for you.
Wow.
And to the point where at some point it works harder than you'll make more money investing than actually working for money.
Yeah. I think that's a great point because I just keep going back to your viewpoint on learning. And it seems like you have this attitude of lifelong learning, which some people have and they thrive off of it. And then some people, like you said, put themselves in that box.
Yeah.
So for those people that feel like I just am not feeling inspired or I'm reading all the books and I'm just not feeling that spark, you could say, what would you encourage them to do to get out of that box almost, to get out of that mindset that they're in? Because you make it sound it's completely possible to learn a skill and then see your own work and learning go into actuals once it's finished.
Yeah. And I believe everyone's curious.
Right.
Kids are born with curiosity. And there's some point in our educational system, this is my own personal belief, that we stifle that curiosity.
Right.
That we say,
I agree.
Go for the right answer.
Right.
But don't ask these questions. There's too many. You're asking too many questions. But kids are asking questions because they want to learn.
Right.
And we have to continue to ask those questions. I believe we're all curious in one area or several areas. I'm probably curious in a lot of areas. So I'm always studying different things and trying to learn new things. I'm always trying to improve on myself. This idea of continuous improvement is a big value of mine. And so I'm always striving to learn more, to understand things. And I think it's there, it's innate.
Right.
And it may not be crypto for everyone, but it could be other areas.
Okay.
And it's a matter of like feeding that curiosity. And the internet's such a great place for that because when I got into crypto in 2013, there actually wasn't that much on the internet. And I had to look for these groups of folks who knew about it. And on the internet, I was able to find those groups.
Oh my goodness.
And then meet them in person.
Wow.
And they educated me on all the aspects of crypto assets. And that's how I got my education.
Do you think, and this is a personal question, but do you think your drive for curiosity and that excitement to learn came from the values that your mom distilled in you when you were young? Because you said that you grew up in a single parent household, a single mom household.
Yeah.
And they're warriors. I don't care.
Oh yeah,
they are warriors. And I mean, I saw my mom work her tail off when my parents got divorced. And not only that, but she never lost composure. Even now, when I understand, I'm like, oh my gosh, you did all of this and managed to raise me. And I was no peach. So it was just, that type of thinking. Do you think that comes from her or that type of mentality?
I think that had a big part of it. I credit a lot to my mom on the value system that she placed in me. And also she said, education is the most important thing that I want you to have. She didn't graduate high school because she didn't have that opportunity
Wow.
when she was growing up, but she is one of the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
And I see it because she's always curious. She knows more. She studies areas about health that I think she knows more than other doctors
Right.
who have a medical degree. And
That's
I tell
my
her
mom.
that.
That's
yeah,
my mom.
I mean,
oh my goodness. We had an experience with my family last year where unfortunately my grandma passed, but she was asking all of these questions to these doctors. And the doctors were kind of like, well, and my mom's like, I know what you're saying back there in the
Yeah.
room. You need to tell me what's going on. So I think that's great.
no, and that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need an education to prove that we're smarter than anyone else.
Right.
Our curiosity will get us there.
Right.
And that's why I never discredit anyone if they don't have an education, because some of those folks
Right.
who lack that education, formal education,
Formal, right.
are still very smart.
Right. And if anything, they have an innovative and entrepreneurial spirit
For sure.
behind that. So I think that's great. Real quick, you're listening to Your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we are joined by Charles Hwang from Lightning Capital Partners. So I want to transition real quick now that you've given us a history of just your life and how you've been incredibly curious. Kind of walk me through now what your business looks like do you consult with clients or the training material that you were talking about to help people learn? Walk me through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so a lot of what we're doing is helping people invest in the space.
Okay.
And so that's because this is such a confusing area.
Right.
And so we're trying to really make it more easier to understand. That's really what we're trying to do. We're looking into other business lines too to educate. We do a lot of seminars.
Okay.
Here occasionally. We're actually doing one with former CFTC chair Giancarlo.
Oh, no way.
Got connected with him when he came to the chambers.
Nice.
And so he's coming
That's amazing.
to speak to all of our folks. And I had the chance to speak to him, and he is so well versed in this area. And he's a good example of that.
Right.
Someone who is a former regulator who studied this space, and he's dubbed crypto dad.
Right.
And he knows that this is the next big thing.
Right.
And he understands how we have to approach it. And regulators that get educated on this will understand how to pursue this in a way where it is balanced. It is not going to kill this technology. It's
Right.
not going to stifle the growth. But it also shouldn't let it be in a free market in the sense that we just let anything go. Because the biggest problem in this space is all the scammers that come up. There's fast money, and so people take advantage of that.
Right.
And that's where we have the bad reputation, such as in 2022 with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, or some
Right.
people call them Sam Bankman-Fraud.
Oh, man.
the guys like that who are centralized players
Right.
end up destroying the reputation in the whole industry. And we're following the rules, and it makes it harder for us to function in this space.
Right. These seminars that you're putting on, are they open to the public, or are they mainly just your clients?
We have done it mainly for our clients, but we can open up to the public. So if people want to listen in on Giancarlo, former CFTC chair Giancarlo, we're happy to have folks come on.
Well, I think it's just a great space too. One, that you partnered with him and this incredible opportunity that you're providing for people who want to learn. But I think of myself, and I am not familiar with this space at all. I don't even pretend to know. So something like this, where because I'm so curious about it, and I have friends who, they mostly talk about like the trendy type things about crypto or whatever it is, and they go to those big conventions and all of that stuff. And sometimes I'm like, what are you learning over there? Like, I want to just pick your brain and see what's going on in those big conventions.
Yeah.
But they seem to be really interested in the space. So that's why I asked, because I think that would be a great opportunity just to open up to anybody, not just chamber members, but if you ever want to, broaden that.
Yeah, I'm always interested. We're always interested in broadening that. As you mentioned earlier, I used to teach at Baruch College for 7 years on crypto. They reached out to me early on in the whole crypto cycle. And so they saw where this would go. And so I commend them as a large institution that they saw that. But I am always looking for ways to educate folks. I think it's part of my passion in teaching. And it's like, I don't do it I don't make money off of it. I'm doing it to help folks because I think it's important. It's important to really understand this technology.
Are you still in the teaching space at all?
I am not.
Okay.
I have entertained teaching.
Yeah.
I will say that University of Miami did offer me a position.
Ooh.
It's just very far away.
It's so far.
I felt so bad when, because they're very gracious about it.
Right.
And it's a great school. It's just, I wish I was in Miami.
Right.
And I would have done that. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. I had no idea. And I love your passion. I love listening to this because you light up when you talk about it. And so many people lack that passion in whatever they're in, and you have that. So do you have a large team behind you, or?
We have a small team right now, and that works for us.
Wow. It makes it seem like you have like an army of people. This is great.
Well, what's very interesting too is that we are utilizing AI for a lot of
wow.
what we're doing.
Let's talk about this. Tell me more.
Yeah, so we're looking at how to capitalize on AI to make our teams even more efficient at a smaller scale. And then what I would love to figure out is how to use AI to teach people.
Yeah.
I think our whole education system is kind of broken. That's my own personal opinion.
Right.
And I think it should be a lot lower cost.
Yeah.
I think that what we're charging at the education at the undergraduate level is way too expensive.
So much.
It's putting people in a lot of student loan debt.
So much debt that takes years and years to pay off. Like I have friends of mine who are probably, I think, in their mid 30s now or late 30s, and they have like getting out of debt parties just from student loans. And I'm just like, wow. Yeah.
And that delays everything.
Right.
Meaning it delays the younger generation in buying a home, and getting married and starting a family, because that debt is a large burden to a lot of folks, and you can't get out of that debt. You can't file bankruptcy and wipe it clean.
Wow.
And so I think it's crazy that education costs this much. And I have a theory that if you use YouTube, a combination of YouTube, there's Khan Academy, all these things, you could get a solid education. But without paying so much money for it.
I know so many people who have taught themselves like mechanic type stuff when it comes to cars and things like that on YouTube. And I have a friend of mine, he goes to the bar that I work at, and he completely built a motorcycle, like an antique motorcycle from the ground up with his dad, all by watching YouTube. And it runs now. He'll drive it to the bar and stuff.
That is great.
And
That's a great story.
So cool. It's like a really cool looking antique bike that you'd probably pay over $100,000 for. And he completely built this thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I just watched some things on YouTube. And of course he drives a Jeep. So those things, I drive a Jeep too. And he's like, get ready, Kiana. Things are going to start falling apart and you got to learn how to put it back together. I was like, okay, you're right. I'll watch some YouTube stuff. But I think you're totally right on that sense, because even now, I couldn't imagine, I was fortunate enough where I got my dad's GI Bill to go to college. And so, and the last year, my mom, and then I worked in college. So like my mom and I were my mom partnered with me to help pay off my student loans. And I am so fortunate for that, because not everybody has that chance, has that opportunity. So I just can't imagine going back to school now and being like, oh my gosh, I graduate and I have over 75 grand in debt, or even more than that.
Oh yeah.
Like actually more than that, probably.
I think the average debt is very high.
Oh man.
It's one of the reasons why I went to Baruch College for my master's, and they have, I think the stat, I don't know how accurate this is, but it was something like 75% of students that graduate from Baruch have zero student loans.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to write that down.
Because they are so affordable.
Right.
And it is one of those schools that is primarily in accounting and finance.
Okay.
And students come out without debt. They're way ahead of their peers at the undergraduate level.
Right.
So they graduate, they start saving money right away. And
they're employable.
They are employable. They have a real skill set.
Right. Which I think is, I just run into this all the time, especially with the young kiddos who are graduating now, where they have like this amazing college experience. And they do. Sometimes you go to college for the college life. I get it. But then you graduate and you're like, well, I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like I want to go back and party and do all these things. And I'm like, well, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm not very supportive in that way, but I think you're right. They graduate little to no debt, which is incredible. And, they become employable to the big time, even not even big time employers, but even just to start their career, to be able to start is so important. So again, real quick, you're listening to Your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we are joined by Charles Hwang from Lightning Capital Partners. And real quick transition before we finish up here. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with the chamber and just at the trustee level as well. And it sounds like it's going great because you partnered with our crypto dad. So that's awesome. Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, I wanted to get more involved in the Palm Beach community. I know Roy Assad, who you also interviewed, and he said, look, you should get involved in this.
Good.
I think there's maybe future aspirations of getting into local politics.
Oh, yeah.
To help the community.
I think that's great.
And that is really one of the big reasons why I joined the trustees. I joined the chambers. I wanted to get more connected in the community. I'm originally from New York City.
Okay.
So much bigger city. And for me, this is a much smaller city.
Right.
And I like it because I get to know people. I get to know the shop owners. I get to know folks around here.
Right.
And that is very personal to me. And to see what problems are people going through. And if there's a way I could help, I'm happy to help.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Charles, for being with us today. I love your story, and this took a really great turn in conversation. So I'm really thankful that you shared your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor to be here.
Yeah. You're listening to Your Palm Beach Guide with the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, and we hope you all have a great day.